Hello and welcome to the first ever Lapworth Players CoVideo program. It's been a long time coming, I know, but I hope it'll be worth it. The original idea of doing a video program using Zoom seemed so simple. Well, what could possibly go wrong, we thought. If you ask me, now there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and what with a few sunny days that we've been having recently, I hope we're well on our way to getting out and about. So, without further ado, let's hear from the Lapworth Players news and shipping forecast.
Good evening. Here is the news and the shipping forecast brought to you by the Lapworth Players TV. Her Majesty the Queen, together with her corgis, today visited the Dogger Bank, where she experienced storm force 9 winds, easing to force 7 later. A ridge of high pressure caused golfer Prince Andrew to evaluate his hook of Holland, where visibility remains at 5 metres, 6 in places, later 7. His Royal Highness has announced that sadly he's filed for bankruptcy. When asked what funds he had left, he replied, rock all. Fastnet and Malin Head force storm 3 to 4, easing southerly later.
Well, more from Andy a little later with our news and shipping forecast. Now, this time of year, we would normally be clearing up from our pantomime season. Costumes and grease paint, plenty of laughter and full audiences. Do you remember those? Oh, yes, you do. Well, looking forward to the year 2024, Dennis has had a letter from the then Prime Minister about how we should be performing future pantomimes.
Here we are in 2024, and I can't believe that tonight is the last night of the pantomime. After tonight, pantomimes are banned. Yes, they are illegal. Kaput, finished. I've got it here in this letter from the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Here it explains why I am being made redundant. Now, just listen to this. The fact is that you are a man playing the part of a woman, a dame no less. And this means that you are depriving an actress of a job. Well, that's what Mr. Starmer says, although they, actresses, are now called actors. So yes, I am an actor stealing the part from another actor. Now, I hope you're following all this, because believe me, it's going to get a lot worse. What's more, Mr. Starmer says, you are not a real dame, and the theatre company is supposed to find a real dame to play the role. Otherwise, you're just appropriating the heritage and customs of a real dame, and that's illegal. I mean, a real life dame. How many dames do they think live in Lapworth? Who knows? No one knows. Now, just listen to this. I've got this idea. Now, the prince is a girl, right? Well, we all know that. But boys need parts too. So I've got this idea. I've got it all worked out. I'll be the prince. Ooh, I think I could play that part with some conviction. Yes. Oh, well, suit yourselves. Excuse me, I'm sure. And she, the prince, can be the dame. Oh, it could work. It could work. But alas, no, not now. It's not allowed in 2024. Now, the PM is also worried about the term ugly sisters because, well, to paraphrase his letter, how do you say to an actor, darling, I've got the perfect part for you. You should be the ugly sister. Oh, but it's all right. You are beautiful on the inside. It's just the outside we've got a bit of an issue with. Now, this letter goes on to refer to the fairy godmother. Well, the government says this is wrong on so many levels. Fairy, God, mother, what have we been thinking of over the last 300 years, laughing at fairy godmothers? According to know who, mind you, we laughed, didn't we? Oh, how we laughed! Oh, that's it. Time for me to perform. So it's good night from me, and it's good night from her.
That's Dennis there with his view on how pantomimes will look in 2024. Let's just hope he stops laughing before then. Now, back to Andy and more from the News and Shipping Report.
The Prime Minister, Mr. Johnson, journeyed to Chequers today, where he was spending the weekend practicing his mumbles and foggy predictions for the foreseeable future, veering westerly later. On the music scene, Viking, Soul and Bailey are hoping to make it to the Easter #1 slot. The Swedish pop group ABBA's hit song South et Sera, North et Sera, Fernando, Where Are You? Has sold 1,001, 1,010 later, with record swells to the underlying current. The Lighthouse family were just pipped to the post, and the drifters were rescued by the Fastnet light vessel at 1400 hours, veering to 1500 in places, maybe 20, sometimes 21.
Now, one of the few jobs that's been allowed during this lockdown has been builders. They've been enjoying the fresh air and some kind of normality. Unfortunately, some of them have not been as safety conscious as they should have been.
Dear boss, I write this note to inform you of my plight, for at the time of writing, I'm not a pretty sight. My body is all black and blue, my face a deathly grey, and I write this note to tell why Paddy's not at work today. Whilst working on the 14th floor, some bricks I had to clear. Now throwing them from off the top seemed quite a good idea. The foreman wasn't very pleased, he was an awful sod. He said I had to cart them down the ladders in me hard. Well, now clearing all those bricks by hand, it seemed so very slow. So I hoisted up a barrel and secured the rope below. But in my haste to do the job, I was too blind to see that a barrel full of building bricks is heavier than me. Now when I had untied the rope, the barrel fell like lead, and clinging tightly to the rope, I started up instead. I set off like a rocket, but to my dismay I found, halfway up I met the bloody barrel coming down. Well, the barrel broke my shoulder as unto the ground it sped, and when I reached the top, I banged the pulley with me head. I clung on tight, though numb with shock from this almighty blow, and the barrel spilled out half its load, 14 floors below. Now when the building bricks fell from the barrel to the floor, I then outweighed the barrel, so I started down once more. I clung on tightly to the rope as I sped to the ground, but I landed on those building bricks scattered all around. Well, as I lay there upon the deck, I thought I'd passed the worst, but when the barrel reached the top, that's when its bottom burst. A shower of bricks rained down on me, I knew I had no hope, and in all of this confusion I let go the bloody rope. Well, the barrel being heavier, it started down once more. It landed right on top of me as I lay on the floor. It broke 3 ribs and my left arm. And I can only say that I hope you'll understand why Paddy's not at work today.
There you go, Andy, with Paddy's note to his employers about why he couldn't go to work today. Not sure if I believed him though. Right, now Lou Haley has been keeping an ear to the ground in the village.
Bit of local gossip. I just heard the hairdresser has been done for drugs. I mean, imagine. I had no idea. I've been going to her for years. I didn't know she was a hairdresser.
Lou Haley, before we go, Andy has the last part of the news and shipping forecast.
And now for the latest COVID-19 update. Easing of coronavirus restrictions now allow for hiking and biking, and a maximum of 2, maybe 3 to 4, occasionally 5 later, with 2 meters distancing at all times, or 1 meter, wearing masks or without masks for soul walkers on Lundy mornings. In Liverpool, to celebrate Easter, the cathedral will be hosting informal groups for coffee and biscuits from 11 o'clock, maybe midday, reducing later. Mouths, such as Portsmouth, must be covered at all times. The next update will be at 1200 hours, maybe a bit more, but we Shannon know till dusk, which is at 4:32, maybe 4:33 in places. That's at the end of the Lapworth Players news and shipping forecast.
Andy there with the Lapworth Players news and shipping forecast. And I wonder if you managed to count the number of shipping areas he actually talked about. Well, that's about it for our first ever Covideo show. I hope you enjoyed it. A big thank you to everyone who's helped to make it happen, despite all of the restrictions and all of the lockdowns. It hasn't been easy, but we are committed to say the show must go on. And many thanks go to Andy Craig, Andy Copland, Lou Haley and Dennis Barnfield. And not to forget, a big thank you goes to Keith Haley for the recording and editing the show together. But before I go, can I just remind you that the original idea for this Covideo was in support of the Samaritans. We wanted to raise funds through donations from you and for those people who need their support. It costs about £25 to train a new Samaritan, to be a listening ear and a caring ear on the end of the phone line. And around £100 would support a Samaritan over the whole of next year, as they answer calls for help from people whose mental health has been impacted by the pandemic. So please give whatever you can. Right, well that's it from me. But if you want to join the Lapworth Players when we finally get back on stage for our next live production, then just get in touch with us or leave a message in the comments section below, where you'll also find the link to our Just Giving page. You just need to click on the link to donate. Oh, and finally, if you've smiled or laughed at our show, please share a link to the video with all your contacts and friends. It'll just help us raise more valuable money for the Samaritans. I really hope you enjoyed watching us make fools of ourselves. Stay safe, look after yourselves, look after your neighbours, and I hope to see you soon. I'm going to leave you now with Dennis, who still finds this whole thing funny. Goodbye and cheers. See you soon.